Oh, just wait till you hear this. South Korean fans are about to go crazy for Celtic after a national TV channel said that it's going to show every single Celtic game after Celtic signed O and in the last transfer window. They're basically going to show every single Celtic game. Starting off with a trip to the Highlands against Ross County. And other Celtic news, we're talking about Sevco actually. James Sands and Talman were out for dinner with Carter-Vickers after Celtic beat them in the last game, and the Sevco fans didn't like it too much, but they were actually out with the national boss who asked them out for dinner since he was over from America, and the Sevco fans have went a bit mental about that. John Hartson's had his say on two Celtic players that are not playing for the national team in the upcoming break. Cameron Carter-Vickers has a bit of a storm, and Americans are asking, is he injured or is he not? And why is Kyogo not playing for the national team? And then at the end, we're going to go into a former Celtic player who's had a bit of a dig at Brendan Rodgers. So back to the South Korean one. The South Korean TV channel broadcasters SPO TV will now show every Celtic game in South Korea. And they're basically, the country is absolutely mad for O. And they're basically showing us and the Tottenham Hotspur games, which is interesting. They basically said there's a lot of demand for soccer fans who want to watch matches of Korean leaguers who have entered Europe. So they're basically following their players, and the fact that Celtic have signed O, they're going oh so crazy for the Celtic, as they say. Talking about people that go oh so crazy, Sevco fans are unhappy with the fact that spotted out for dinner was James Sands and Talman with Carter-Vickers after the last derby defeat, the Glasgow derby, where Celtic came out on top. But they were out with the American boss for dinner. He asked them out for dinner. Obviously, he's in the country, so it's an easy way to get the lads out and have a bit of a chat with them and see how they're feeling. Obviously, it does happen. It's just one of those things in Scotland where it's after a derby game, you know, people, Celtic and Rangers players over the years have always went out for dinner. I mean, it's just one of those things. We don't like to see it, and when you're across that pitch, you know, it's war. Look at Scott Brown. When Scott Brown was playing and Whittaker was playing for Sevco, you know, they went to war with each other on the pitch, but look at them now. They're still best mates. They've been best mates for the younger days. It happens. Get over it, Sevco fans. Just like get over losing everything this year. Anyway, Carter-Vickers has caused a bit of a storm by not being included in not being in contention for the upcoming USA International. The Americans are saying that he pulled out, pulling up injured. He says it's a glaring omission. Has he been injured? I don't think he's been injured, but has he just pulled out for the sake of his Celtic career and the fact that it's maybe just a friendly? So, I don't know. It's one of those things with international games. It's a long way to go back to America just to play a game. Same with the Japanese players though. Talking about the Japanese players, John Hartson says it is absolutely crazy to think that Hatate and Kyogo are not in the Japan national team. Find me a better Japanese striker that's playing in Japan. I know that there's one of their strikers are playing at Brighton. Is playing at Brighton a better level than playing for Celtic, and it is becoming a bit of a worry. And there has been speculation saying that the players might leave Celtic. No, they won't. No, they won't. Just paper talk. But if they want to see their international career brought back to life, they need to be playing at a higher level. It has been suggested by the Herald, so the less they said about that, the better. And then there's obviously the Carter-Vickers story with the squad omission, as his exclusion sparks fury that he's not playing. To be fair, he never actually played. I think he played one game at the World Cup. It's a long way to go to sit on the bench, and he's maybe thought to himself, do you know what, I'm not 100%, so there's no point in me travelling over there to sit on the bench when I could actually stay here and do the extra training and get back to being 100% fit. I think that's probably more likely to be the story behind it. He's the best defender in Scotland, what can you say? When it goes to Kyogo and Hatate, you know, them being snubbed again, they were snubbed at the World Cup. it's just one of those things with international games. Talking about international games and international players, a former international defender has had a swipe at the man himself, Brendan Rodgers, after Moussa Dembele and Derek Boyata called out the former Celtic gaffer publicly after their moves away from Celtic. Now follows Eric Shevchenko. Shevchenko says, in Danish media, he says, we had an extremely good relationship until one point. He says he played every game in the Champions League. He had a great start, and then we go to the winter break. There was a lot of talk that winter about him joining Leicester. Leicester put in a bid of £3 million to Celtic. Celtic knocked him back, saying that they wanted more money. And then he ended up going for next to nothing, did he not? Anyway, he says that basically Brendan Rodgers froze him out of the team. And he's had a bit of a dig in the paper. Eric has been back home in his homeland playing for FC Midtjylland, and they lifted the cup last season. So on that note, it's not really a big news day for Celtic. There will obviously be the news press conference this afternoon. Might do a bit of a check-up with that later this evening. But if you don't, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world, and there'll be another Celtic FC news video tomorrow morning.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up.